Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Team Associated B74. This is the 1/10 scale electric four-wheel drive race buggy from Team Associated, their flagship vehicle in the 1/10 scale market. And I bought this a few months ago for $519.99 here in the United States. This is the successor to the B64, of course, which I also owned and have reviews of, so go check that out if you're interested. But yeah, this is their latest, greatest, and presumably best RC kit on the market today, so I just wanted to talk about it. Here's my kit in front of us. Here's what it looks like in my traditional red, black, and white colors. Pull off the body. This is a lightweight body that they've been shipping with. Pull off the wheels here as well, but the components I'm running on my particular kit, running the Dustin Evans setup, which is basically a stock setup with a center differential. Out of the box, it comes with a slipper. Electronics wise, I'm running a Hobbywing V3.1 stock spec ESC, Team Power's Actinium 13.5 turn 3100 kV motor, an Expert SI 4431 servo, and a Sanwa RX 481 receiver there. So pretty much completely kit out of the box except for the inclusion of the center differential. And I'm also running plastic gears in all of the differentials, which are the same from the B64. Those will fit just the same in the B74. But other than that, completely stock kit. So I'm going to be reviewing this kit in my traditional categories, giving it a rating from 1 to 5 stars. 5 stars obviously is excellent, best in class. 3 stars would be average, and 1 star would be very, very poor. So yeah, let's get into the review. The first thing I want to talk about is the build, and this build was actually a really good build, probably maybe one of the best Team Associated builds I've ever done. I've owned maybe 6 or 7 Team Associated kits throughout the years, and this was really excellent. It seems like they stepped up their parts quality. All the molds came out really nicely. The arms fit perfectly, no binding or drag or any slop or anything. So really excellent fit and finish. They did move production to Taiwan from China, which is where the B64 was built, and you can kind of tell a little bit of a increase in parts quality, of course with an attendant increase in price as well. But yeah, the build was excellent. But as per traditional Team Associated, the body's not pre-cut, the wing's not pre-cut. The parts are in bags, but they're on parts trees and not completely sorted like they are with, say, TLR kits. My kit also came with this errata sheet, which you definitely want to check out and make sure you're following. There were some mistakes in the manual. I assume they're going to fix this in the current manuals, but my manual did have this, so I have to review it based on that. Yeah, no wheels in the box, no tires, of course. You will need some additional things like Loctite, maybe green slime, etc. So overall, I'm going to give the build an average score. I think the parts themselves and the actual build went quite well, but just sort of some little things here and there that Team Associated just doesn't do quite as well as some of the other manufacturers, like the pre-cut parts and the parts on parts tree. So overall, I'm going to give the build a rating of 3 stars. Okay, what did they change in the B74? So let's kind of talk about the overall design. Standard sort of bathtub chassis, aluminum down the center, plastic on the sides. You can see the layout. They've got the ESC and the motor on one side, and then the servo, battery, and receiver on the other side. You can see quite a bit of carbon fiber in this kit, so that is one change from the B64. There's a lot of carbon fiber, a lot of aluminum, a lot of tunability as well. So they've got these carbon fiber chassis stiffeners in the middle. They also traditionally have like an X-brace here that I'm not running, but a little carbon fiber chassis, X-brace chassis that you can remove for a little more flex. Just a ton of tunability. All the standard adjustments you'll find from Team Associated kits, including adjustable axle heights. They now have adjustable diff heights, all your shock locations, arm locations. They have options for like CVAs versus universal drive shafts. These come with CVAs. Got CVAs down the center of the vehicle. So the center drive shafts are now CVAs, so tons of tunability, movable battery adjustments. Yeah, so overall a very tunable kit, probably the most tunable RC car on the market. They did redesign the rear hubs, so they are now kind of the shell style design with an aluminum piece where you can basically use ball sets to move them in and out and up and down as well. Aluminum hexes throughout, aluminum ABCD blocks, sway bars of course. So yeah, tons of adjustments, really nice design overall, very easy to work on. Just an excellent design. So overall I'm going to give the design a score of 5 stars. I think it is almost perfect. A couple of little minor gripes I do have. One is I wish they did have a fan mount. I don't know why they don't include fan mounts on Team Associate kits, but they would be nice if they do that. It's not required. I'm just using a little double-sided servo tape there on the fan to hold it in place, but something a little more secure would be a little bit nicer. Also, the wire management on this is not quite as good as the B74. I think it's just kind of more out in the open, including this center differential, center slipper. Things can kind of get caught up in there, so you will have to use zip ties or something to kind of route the cables and wires around just to keep it clean and things from getting damaged. So, but overall, very nice design. I'm going to give it full marks, 5 stars. Okay, let's talk about the performance of the B74, and it is very nice. I did have a B64, which I thought was a pretty good machine. Obviously a huge improvement over the B44 line of four-wheel drive buggies, but the B74 does actually take it a step further. General characteristics, at least running the Dustin Evans setup, extremely easy to drive, very neutral. It just kind of flows really well, especially if you run the center differential, which I recommend. The stock slipper setup is a little more point and shoot. I think this is a little more fluid and something you'll want to look into if you're running on dirt tracks. Yeah, just a really nice, easy to drive vehicle. They also, I think, changed the shocks a little bit longer shocks, a little more droop, so it lands a little more plush. But overall, I think it's just a really nice buggy to drive. You know, it's very easy to get used to. It does pretty much what you expect it to do, goes where you want it to, a lot of traction, jumps and lands really flat, very neutrally. Probably one of the most neutral jumping and landing RC cars I own, so especially for four-wheel drive buggy. So overall, the performance is really good. I really like the way this buggy drives. It drives exactly how I want it to, so I'm going to give it full score in the performance category of 5 stars. It's a really nice driving buggy. All right, let's talk about the durability of the B74. And four-wheel drive buggies in general tend to take a lot of abuse. They've got tons of traction, generate a lot of speed with so much acceleration. Obviously nothing in the front to protect them. They also tend to have very little kick up, so the arms can take a lot of abuse when you crash into things. And the B74 has proved to be very durable. I did break a couple things. So I basically broke a rear turnbuckle and ball cups on a massive crash down the front straight, where there's sort of a section sticking out from the front straight where I clipped it. This thing got sent into a huge cartwheel, probably flipped over about 5 or 6 times, and I snapped a ball cup and bent the turnbuckle. But other than that, I haven't broken anything. I did notice that there's so much aluminum on this RC car. Just kind of go through it. You know, there's aluminum here and the, what do you call these, the knuckles, the steering rack, the servo saver, even the servo saver mouse. Just a lot of aluminum all throughout this kit. These screws here threaded in aluminum. You want to make sure everything is locked tight really well. All those screws are tightened down quite a bit, because otherwise you're going to get some wandering steering trim. You're going to notice when you run into something that the steering trim seems to get knocked out, and that's almost always because one of these little screws has just backed out maybe a half turn or something and is a little bit loose. So make sure all that is locked tight well. But overall, the durability is very high. The only thing I don't really like about this kit is it does come with a lightweight body. This is quite flimsy. My B74D came with a standard body. Now, I realize for carpet, AstroTurf, super high traction surfaces, this is a little bit better, but I would have preferred them to have included just a standard body and let people buy a lightweight if they wanted to as sort of a performance option. But yeah, so overall I'm going to give the durability 4 stars. I did break some things. I don't like the body. The wing, as usual, is quite wimpy. But yeah, overall, pretty good durability, 4 stars. So here in the United States, Team Associated is for sure the easiest brand to get support. There's parts everywhere. Pretty much every racetrack will carry Team Associated parts. The company is really easy to work with. I've called them or used email and gotten response from them. So no issues on the support part. In terms of maintenance, the B74 is extremely easy to work on, maybe the easiest RC four-wheel drive buggy to work on. Everything's out in the open, easy to get to. Electronics are right there. Just a few screws, you can pop out the servo. A few screws up top, you can pull off the slipper or center differential. Even like the motor, you can slide out. So really nice RC car to work on. The diffs are really easy to get to, just kind of a few screws down here and a few screws in the front. You can pull those off. So yeah, excellent on the maintenance front, excellent on the support front. I'm going to give it 5 stars for the support and maintenance category. Next category is value, and by that I am referring to how much this RC car costs as opposed to what you're getting when you purchase this kit. So the Team Associated B74 sells for $519.99 here in the United States. That is quite a bit of an increase over the B64, which sold for $400. I'm not sure it's really that great of a value. You're now in the X-Ray, Yokomo, Kyosho price range, and is the quality as good as those brands? I'm not sure that it is. It's definitely good. It's definitely higher than before. The fit and finish is really nice. A lot of carbon fiber, thick shock tires, etc. But the shocks probably aren't as good. Maybe the manufacturing isn't quite as good. And the last thing is, I feel like at least in the United States, if you're running on dirt, you'll definitely want to get the center differential. That costs $50. So you're talking $520 plus another $50. You're spending about $570 for a kit that you're generally going to be running, at least in the US, as sort of out of the box to get it competitive. Now I realize the other brands, also X-Ray, Kyosho, Yokomo, I think those also all come with slippers instead of center differentials. So, but overall, I do think it is a little bit more expensive as opposed to kind of what you get in the box. The price did jump quite a bit, probably about 30% over the B64. It is better, but is it worth another $120 or $170? If you include the center differential, my B64D costs $400 or $420, and so I got to give this a below average score. I feel like the value is not quite there. Team Associated typically provides really good value vehicles, a lot of bang for the buck, but they kind of dropped the ball, I think, a little bit here with the B74. So I'm going to give the value a below average score, 2 stars. So final thoughts on the Team Associated B74. It's an awesome buggy. It's definitely a generation above the B64. It drives better, a lot more tuning options, a lot more adjustments, including things like the adjustable diff heights, which they didn't have in the B64. So probably a little more suitable for the higher traction surfaces. I think they learned a lot with the B64, just kind of evolved it, made it even better. It drives better in terms of like, the B64, I thought was a pretty good handling vehicle, but it almost felt like sometimes the front and the rear end were doing different things. Like the front would be steering, the rear end was kind of locking up. It was just not as fluid and consistent. Now I know they did make some changes to the steering, to the geometry, etc., and I can tell that this thing definitely drives a lot better. It's just amazing how well this buggy drives. I do like it a lot. I think pretty much anybody could pick this thing up, put on the Dustin Evans setup, and be ready to rock and roll. I mean, it's just very neutral. It does exactly kind of what you're expecting out of a four-wheel drive buggy, and almost pretty much needs like no adjustments. I think this setup rocks and is really good. So overall, I think the kit is super high performing, very durable, very easy to work on. The only gripe I have is maybe the cost jumped up a little bit too high. Maybe that's kind of the reality with the marketplace today, but it is quite a bit more expensive than the previous four-wheel drive buggies from Team Associated, and really the entire Team Associated line is really just not in this price range typically, so do have to kind of give it some knock for that. But overall, I like the buggy a lot, and I'm going to be doing comparison review with the other major American brands, the TLR 22.4 2.0 and the Techno EB410, which was my winner in this class a few years ago. We'll see if this is any better. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Throw it on a comment below. Let me know what you think about the B74 or some sort of opinions on it. If you've had a chance to drive it or where you're thinking about buying one. Look for more videos soon, and see you later.